and we know you. Just go to the point. Yes, just proceed, please.
Thank you, chairs and members of this honorable committee. And I must say that I'm honored to appear before you, given that I'm actually a former. But being a former, then I can also speak freely and speak my mind. Now, I'll speak on electoral justice. I will speak on outstanding constitutional matters, mainly on issues which may touch on counties. And then I will speak on outstanding matters on what we call adequate checks and balances. And then I'll finish up with what the implications for all these for the Office of the Auditor General. Chair, on electoral justice, I would like the committee to know that in February 2014, by the way, I hope my submission has been given. So, good.
We have it. Proceed.
Very good. The National Assembly, through a resolution of the House, established a working group that was established by the then chair of the Budget and Appropriation Committee, Honorable Mutava Musyimi, to carry out socio-economic audit of the Constitution 2010 of Kenya. Under the auspices of my then office, I had the honor to chair a group of eminent professional Kenyans who were experts in various fields, some of whom have made some presentations here. However, views I am expressing are purely personal and not of the working group. Our electoral system, our political environment, as has been recognized by the EACC, to my view, is a bedrock of corruption in Kenya. And as head of state and government, a president can have control over program and activities of parliament and many other public appointments. Presidential powers has been used through successive regimes to exclude and marginalize people on the basis of ethno-geographical considerations. State resources and opportunities could be disproportionately directed to favored regions of successive presidents in what one can describe as rigged development. We need to revisit our current system, presidential, some say, versus parliamentary systems of government. In my view, election of president and governors on one man, one vote is a source of expensive election and corrupt practices, skewed patronage and payback expectations in public appointments. Staggering of elections will be costlier more than the current system. No need to stagger if we can perfect and learn from the acquired lessons so far, as well as devolving IBC and going away from electing, especially governors, on one man, one vote. So that was my submission on electoral justice. On outstanding constitutional matter, arguably the current size and numbers of counties set at 47 has helped address some of the real and perceived grievances of economic and political marginalization among smaller communities who now have control over powers and resources to the county level. Reducing the counties to regional levels would mean that only a fewer of the larger communities would dominate at the regional level. While there could be certain advantages in reducing or increasing the size or numbers of counties, the solution lies in ensuring that the existing structures are utilized optimally towards the realization of the stated objectives of devolved government. We must capacitate the 47 counties. No need of new counties. We just have to ensure that we timely release the funds. On issues of adequate checks and balances, the Constitution foresaw adequate checks and balances, namely the legislature, judiciary, executive, recognizing an independent office of the Auditor General as in other countries. The Kenyan Constitution is unique in having an independent office of controller of budget. In my view, the Kenyans foresaw the potential of national government competing with counties in available funds, hence the need for an independent budget office that ideally would have taken over the exchequer once the president would have assented to the budget. This would have ensured that the 15% of the available liquidity revenue would be for the counties and not left to the national treasury to determine, i.e. the control of the budget would be the independent arbiter in allocating available funding. Both Articles 201B subsection 2 and 202 subsection 1 establish the principle that revenue raised nationally shall be shared equitably among the national and county government, and hence this was the idea I believe the Kenyans wanted in appointing an independent controller of the budget. Now, coming to the office of the Auditor General, if Kenya were to be a company, irrespective of the three arms of government, the Kenyan governance would not pass international recognition without an independent office of the Auditor General. Associations of Auditor Generals is one that is recognized at the UN as INTOSAI, notably the International Organization of Supreme Audit Institutions. Kenya can do away with certain Chapter 15 institutions, but not the Office of the Auditor General. Indeed, UN Resolution A66209, to which Kenya is a signatory, highlights the importance of independent and effective Office of the Auditor General for improved governance, as well as promoting the efficiency, accountability, effectiveness, and transparency of public administration and strengthening the institutions. It is very important that the independence of this office be ensured given endemic corruption in many African countries, including Kenya. For the Office of the Auditor General to be independent, it will depend on the person of the Auditor General. I repeat, on the person of the Auditor General. While in office, the independence of that person is ensured by provision of good salary, security, and other amenities, recognizing that the responsibility is full-time and the person cannot engage in side business as many other Kenyans. However, what good would it serve for the person to be truly independent when after leaving the office, the security is removed, no pension, no medical, no retirement benefits at all? There was a petition in the 12th Parliament by Honorable KJ Kiare, which should be revisited on this respect. It is only Parliament to whom Office of the Auditor General is responsible that would ensure post-retirement benefits of the Office of the Auditor General are enacted as in other countries. Now, let me just explain. While in office, one feels very secure, one feels very protected, and one works full-time. There is no way one can involve in side business and so forth. When the person leaves the office, because really there is nobody looking at the interests of the Office of the Auditor General, a lot of facilities are withdrawn almost instantaneously, and that happened. And this may be because of part of the duties which one had undertaken. And therefore, you end up this person going out at the time when they need to feel secured. yet the person is out there alone, not looked after, even medical, no, nothing. And in case anything happens to a former Auditor General in terms of health, which would then be more critical, we would have to go for Harambee. There is nothing for the office of for the person of the retired Auditor General. Let me end there. I think it's something food for thought for the National Dialogue Committee. Thank you.
It was very well presented and very clear, Dr. Ouko. The two interventions I can see, Senator Cherargei, the leader, and Honorable
Cheriot.
Senator Cheriot. Apologies. And Honorable Ambiliang.
Thank you,
We are
Chair.
making Cherargei popular, I don't know why.
No problem. Thank you, Auditor General Emeritus. And let me begin on your last point. I agree with you because that's an area, potential area of conflict while one is in office. Because you begin looking forward and imagine, is it worth it? Or you live the Kenyan way of looking the other way, knowing that your future is assured. So I agree that's something that perhaps the committee needs to look into, and we will consider effectively. I want to perhaps borrow from your experience during your time when you served as Auditor General. There is a topic of the cost of living, which unfortunately I wanted to listen to you on, but you didn't delve so much into. Maybe you avoided it thinking it's a political issue. It's not really that much, apart from the good political undertones where there are colleagues who feel that Kenya has taken a turn for the worse under this administration. Everybody knows what has happened and how we found ourselves in this situation. An objective analysis knows how Kenya as a country found itself in its current economic predicament. What is your assessment of the size of government that we run, and where is it that savings can be made? Because one of the key, or actually the bulk of our economic situation, is anchored by on debt, and debt has the debt distress that we have, need to pay off, borrow to survive a little, and also due projects because of political pressures is something that continues to hang over us. Where do you feel that savings could be made? Save for I've seen what you spoke about on the Chapter 15 commissions, but these are very small, insignificant government agencies, if I put it. If you check through their budgets, they hardly consume maybe 200-300 million. In a budget of 3 trillion, that's a drop in the ocean. But where do you genuinely feel that serious savings can be made?
Okay, go next. Thank you, Auditor General. We've listened to you. And I like the fact that you have actually alluded to this committee that these are your personal, initiatives and maybe decisions that you have decided to put to the committee. I want to visit this phrase that you used. We need a presidential versus parliamentary system of government. And in your view, the election of president and governors on one man, one vote is a source of very expensive elections and corrupt practices, which will actually, in turn, maybe need a payback after you are elected. But you have failed to give us a way forward on that. Do you have any suggestion on that you can give to this committee? Thank you.
Please answer those in under 2 minutes, if possible. Yeah.
Thank you very much. In fact, when I was trying to present my views, I was wondering whether I should develop in the issue of cost of living. And I thought maybe this cost of living was being left outside the terms which are good. But Senator Aaron, this cost of living is an accumulation of things which has happened. It's accumulation of costs which we are now carrying forward. So you must understand that it's not a one of which just happened today. So these accumulation things have been partly of debt and partly just a very costly government. we've been managing. Costly in various senses. A lot of abuses, waste, a lot of unnecessary expenditure, so to speak. So, and therefore it is one which is carried because of us, the managers, the leaders, and so forth. So we have a duty on that. Now, what's the way forward? The way forward is that the cost of living is actually biting the ordinary person more than us who are seated here. And therefore, the way forward is, we know people talk of, we must find a way of cushioning. Find a way of cushioning the very low-level people. Whether you call it, people don't want to, people use subsidy, but use social cushioning, that must be there. And where would this money have to come from? This money has come from the very things which has brought us to the cost of living, reducing the cost of government in that context. And my idea would be, if we can agree to cap the cost of government for the next 3 years alone, then we will have easily started addressing some of the accumulated abuses and mismanagement. And therefore, we can also be able to tackle the issue of taxes in our cost of living.
Thank you.
Now, the other one about presidential versus, this is just my own view, because I have had the experience in Africa, and there is no country in Africa where you go and vote for one man, one vote, and you don't expect that person to have power. So that is something which then breeds a lot of things, but it's not because it's presidential. But sometimes I wonder, South Africa has got the same fabric like us, I mean, in terms of ethnicity, in terms of what. How is it that theirs is presidential, but there is no, the fighting which we have? So that's the question I would like to leave with you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ouko.
Yes.
We shall now release you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the committee will greatly benefit from your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Immense benefit to the committee. Next group, Kenya Kwanza.
Watu walioweka Kenya kwanza.